As a council member, you have a responsibility to watch how taxpayers and ratepayers' money is spent. How would you safeguard public funds?
How would I safeguard public funds? I would start with the forensic audit, because without knowing exactly what went wrong, where it went wrong, there's no way for me to actually sit there and say, well, I'm going to start with this or I'm going to start with that. And then after getting the answers from the forensic audit, I would like to take a look at the population growth versus the increase and the decrease when I go making decisions based on the taxpayers' money, because some years we have more money coming in because we have more of a population. Other years we have less people in here, so we have less money coming into our area. Take the fact that we're losing 4,000, not losing, but 4,000 men are being deployed at this moment in time. That does affect what we're bringing in revenues. It doesn't just affect us, it affects the taxpayer, the business owners, the homeowners, because we all have to make up for what we do lose. So we need to look at other things as permits and stuff. So I would basically bring to the table common sense.
What experience do you have in financial management, and how will you use that experience on the council?
My financial management comes from not just being a business owner, owning my own small business, a dog training business. It comes from watching my mother and my great-grandmother. My mother owned pizza places. My great-grandmother owned rental properties in Cincinnati. My great-grandmother was a great businesswoman. She started off teaching school in a little tiny one-room schoolhouse, and so she taught me the value of money. She taught me what does work and what doesn't work, where my mother wasn't that great of a businesswoman. She went with everything that was thrown at her, any whim. So I bring that to the table of being able to distinguish, what's going to work? What am I going to be able to use to capitalize and bring revenue into a business? It would be the same as doing it for the city. As a small business owner, I've decided to close down my business so I could take care of my husband, who's 60% disabled and still works, because that told me that I needed to be at home at this point in time. So it just varies. I think financially, and being able to financially manage something comes from understanding how to budget. And even housewives spend a lot more time budgeting money than most of the people that do budget the money for cities and other governments.
Assuming you have no additional money, what is your plan to attack Killeen's violent crime concerns?
Oh, this one's dear to my heart. I live on Hooten Street, and if anybody knows, lately Hooten Street has just been surrounded. I mean, we've had standoff, shootings, neighbors, shooting and injuring other neighbors. I think education is the first line of attack. We need more officers. But I think education, before we go starting with neighborhood watches, those are great programs, but they also can cause kind of a distrust amongst neighbors, and also puts them in a line of fire when a lot of the criminals that we're dealing with right now are organized criminals. And that puts civilians at risk. It also puts our police department at risk. And I think education, getting news people involved in this, getting the police department to speak and to explain exactly organized crime and how it does draw and bring smaller crime into our area. To earn the funds, I think it goes back to looking at the audit again, the forensic audit, to see where we can take money from, where we can place it, because we do need police officers more than we need a lot of other programs right now.
What are your top 3 priorities, and how will you accomplish them?
My top 3 priorities. My first one, the biggest one to me, is crime. Like I said, education. I'd like to get the community educated first on crime and what is, how criminals work mainly. Secondly, I would say the budget. Like I said earlier, looking at the decrease and increase of the population so that we can adjust taxes and permit fees and so forth accordingly with the fluctuation. My third one, I would have to say homelessness, because it is becoming a large problem in our area. Looking at the statistics, women right now are the majority that are homeless. So I think finding programs and mentorships for our young women would be a great start on this, and helping them be able to get off the streets or from having to go home to a steady place where they can raise a family. Um, there's so many different topics I can talk about, but like I said, a lot of this mainly goes back to the forensic audit before anyone can actually make plans or move ahead on any budgets or starting this or that program or purchasing anything else. We really need to get down to what happened and why it happened, so we don't make the same mistake, and then we can take the money and put it in the places that we need it, like mentoring programs for women, because women right now dominate the population, and we could actually literally combat a lot of our crime by getting mentoring programs for young women in school and so forth, because women are the majority that are raising our children, that are going to be the ones that need to speak up on domestic violence, on crime, on things like human trafficking, child trafficking, and our first line of defense will be women. And it doesn't cost much to educate someone in any area as long as we have everybody on board and everybody that wants to work together.
What would you do to attract new businesses or industries that bring high-paying jobs to Killeen?
Now that one, to do that, we really need to look at statistic and the education level and where our skills lie within each individual. We right now have more jobs that are admin position than anything else. And then our second top industry is education. And yet the people that work in education make, far less than somebody that's working in admin in some cases. So I would take a look at drawing companies that do use a lot of admin positions, more of like, say, a company like Westinghouse, seeing if we could get their corporation in so that we could build business offices. The skill set in our area seems to tend to more, admin positions. We do need to draw in more technical positions because they do bring in a lot more money. But my first and main goal would be to find businesses that can come in and put the people of Killeen to work before they build a new business and bring employees from other areas, because the first and most important person to put to work are the citizens of Killeen that are here right now.